John Lusky of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. I'm really excited to test a new broadhead here today. Previously, I tested the Annihilator Katana, and it got the highest grade to date, and it still stands for any fixed blade broadhead that I've ever tested. It did just remarkably well in all the different tests that I did. But now I'm going to be testing the 200 grain. So that was the 100 grain. Now I'm going to be testing the one that's twice as heavy, the 200 grain. It just recently came out. I got my hands on them, and man, they just look wicked cool. They're like twice as mean looking, okay? Twice as big, twice as mean looking. They have a bigger cut and a lot more weight. So really eager to put them to the test and see how they perform. I'm going to be using my regimen for 2025. And for a detailed description of that regimen, please check out the video that I posted earlier this year called 2025 Broadhead Test Process, and I'll explain it all to you. I'm going to be using my Elite Carbon Eon for most of my shooting, but then I'm going to be using for the flight testing my Killer Instinct LogiX 435 crossbow. And for all the testing for the arrows and bolts, I'm using Bishop archery stuff. All right, let's zoom on in here, introduce you to this Katana 200 grain, go through some of the design features and specifications, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at the Katana 200 grain, and man, this thing is just a chunk of lethality. I remember playing around with these at the ATA show earlier this year, and man, I couldn't wait to get my hands on them, and finally did. And just when you hold this thing, I mean, it just feels like a beast. I mean, it just feels like a destroyer of animals. It's really impressive. I can't overstate it. And you just feel the quality from it as well. So let's start with the materials. It's machined out of a single chunk of their proprietary steel. Now, they make it proprietary, meaning they don't want to tell anybody exactly what it is because they feel like they're really onto something, that if others knew, they would imitate it. But they have this cool chart, and again, it comes from them, but they have this cool chart in their promo material that compares it to other top steels like D2, S30V, A2, and S7, other tool steels. And just to show that in toughness, edge retention, durability, sharpness, and ease of sharpening, it just does better than all these other steels. So I can't really say whether that's accurate or not. I can just speak to how it performs in my testing, and I'm really eager to see that. I previously tested the 100 grain, and it did really well. I mean, it was incredibly durable and held its edge and so forth. So I'm eager to see if that happens with this larger model as well. Now, when I say larger, the cutting diameter of this one is 1¼ inches. So the other ones, 100 and 125 grain, are just 1 inch. So this is a 25% wider cut there. And then it's got these two extra blades, each of which are 0.7 inches, okay, in diameter there. So the total cut is 2.65 inches. And then you notice that it's single bevel all around. These are single bevel, these kind of side blades, as well as these main blades are single bevel. And as for resharpening, you'd want to use for the main blades here the Stay Sharp guide called The Answer. That's kind of their catch-all they've come up with. It really is great on heads that otherwise would be challenging to resharpen. So you want to use The Answer for this one. And these internal ones, I don't think they're that difficult to sharpen if you just have a small flat edge. Like I'd use a Stay Sharp guide diamond plate and just hold it in there. They're not really essential to get razor sharp. They're kind of extras. But these is where you'd want to spend your time to make sure you got those as sharp as they can get. So really eager to put these things to the test and see how they perform. The Katana 200 grain got the 10 ring. It took 142 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus a proportional bonus for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 8.5 inches. It only took an additional 14 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.72 on a 10-point scale. And it'll get an extra bonus for both the sharpness and the edge retention being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated through 57 layers, which is an 8.15 on a 10-point scale. It rotated 45 degrees at 11 inches. The head is in pristine condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. Man, the broadhead is just in absolutely perfect condition. You can't even tell it's been shot, let alone shot through 22 gauge steel plate twice. And then look at these holes, man. I love the holes. They're not just the typical oval holes that you get from kind of a bleeder, but it really sustains that ovalness a lot longer because of the 2 extra blades. And then it doesn't show it in this picture, but the volume of tissue that's being displaced by the thickness of this center portion and these cross blades creates a vacuum that makes the hole even much more bigger in action than it looks in just a cutaway view like this. Really impressive. Here it is after all the durability testing, and wow, it just did so well. The MDF was just like child's play, as was the steel plate, just no signs of wear and tear except maybe some cosmetic things. And then into the cinder block, it penetrated really deeply, and the edges still have some bite to them, like on my nail, they still bite in, as does the tip there. Spins perfectly well. If there's any bit of spin that's not perfect that I can't detect, it's probably just due to this concrete fusing to it. But this performs so well that it gets the extra 2-point bonus for showing virtually no signs of wear after all the durability testing. Really impressive. So what'd you think? Man, this is like just another fantastic broadhead. Winner. And you know, I found that for 200 grains with my arrows in my setup, I could actually shoot the same setup without having to adjust anything out to about 40 yards. And beyond that, I had to make some adjustments sight picture wise, but really like easily 30. I was pretty much right on 40, dropped just a little bit. And I used it on a hunt like that very successfully. Okay, this is one deadly broadhead, let me tell you. But in the testing, gosh, there just was not a weak point. It just performed so incredibly well. Now, the 100 grain penetrated quite a bit better, so it got an extra bonus for the depth of its penetration because it penetrated so well, better than any other head I've tested. This one didn't penetrate that good, but still did really well for the cut size that it has. So it didn't score quite as high as that 100 grain model, but it still got, with the bonuses, over 100 points. It's one of the few broadheads to get over 100 points. Even without the bonuses, it got like 96 points or something like that. It did just really, really well. So if you're willing to consider a 200 grain head, or if you're looking for a 200 grain head, man, this is something really worth checking out. But you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most, and see if it might be a good fit for you, your bow and arrow setup, and your hunting needs. And stay tuned for the overall cumulative score, as well as the corresponding LUSK grade. And also stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes I can offer, like the one for all Annihilator broadheads. LUSK 10 will save you 10%. Even on this, on the Katana models, LUSK 10 will save you 10%. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.